Also, since my open heart surgery, I've lost about 46 pounds, so my ring was really loose.
Mm,
And I also couldn't let go of the idea that it might have just slipped off my hand.
mm,
So I look everywhere that I can and I don't find it. I go to bed and I tell myself, I prompt myself, I use self hypnosis.
mhm,
And
mhm.
I say, you will recall while you're sleeping where the ring is. And if you're not able to recall where the ring is, intuition will guide you to find it this morning.
Mhm.
Get ready to be seen here, there, and every freaking where. Welcome to the AI and Chill podcast with your host, Coach Deb.
Aloha, I'm Coach Deb. Welcome to the AI and Chill Show. I am really excited for my first guest here, Marshall Sylver. He is the world's greatest hypnotist. We're here in Studio Money. We may, I have a feeling, have him on as a regular guest. And I'm going to talk a little bit about AI and hypnosis and how it's going to impact. But here's what I love about Marshall Sylver is he fits the chill brand perfectly. We've played tennis together. We've celebrated holidays together. But most of all, he has impacted millions of lives worldwide with his signature program, Turning Point, which I kind of want to kick off because Turning Point has been a phenomenal program. It's now become a movement and it's all based on freedom, which
Yep.
is very interesting how the synergies really collide. Right. Talk about naming and you know how to name things. So talk a little bit about Turning Point, and then I want to start getting into how AI will impact hypnosis with you.
So, yes, and I'm so glad to be here on your show. I couldn't be more honored.
Yes.
And I'm very glad to have you here at Studio Money. You mentioned Turning Point. Yeah, Turning
Mm,
Point is an event that I've been doing for over 40 years. And recently, of course, because of what happened with Charlie Kirk and
yeah.
all the visibility that he's gotten with Turning Point USA, some people have asked me, are you a part of the Charlie Kirk organization? And to be clear, if I had been invited, I would be, because I
Mhm.
100% stand for everything Charlie stood for and what Turning Point USA stands for. Although Turning Point, my Turning Point was launched 40 years ago, so
Yeah.
way prior to
Yeah.
Charlie deciding to do Turning Point USA. The reason I call it Turning Point
Mhm.
is, as a hypnotist, I know that you don't have to get somebody to change everything
Mm,
to help them end up in a different place.
mm,
So if I am wanting to, as an example, walk out the door that's straight in front of me and I'm turned slightly to the right, I don't really have to make a big change. I just have to make this much of a change.
mm.
And then I'm on path and eventually I'll get out that door. And it's those kinds of changes for people, whether it's stopping drinking alcohol or eating better food or making different choices as far as relationship are concerned. It's not the big things that usually matter,
Mm,
and it's definitely not the big things that end up getting you in trouble. It's the
mhm.
little things that hook you up and
Mm,
stop you from getting what you want.
yeah. I remember I saw you years ago, over a decade, maybe two. It was in Florida, I think, for the first time. And people were just turning their lives around. And it was just this one simple moment that it started. I want to ask you what your turning point is, because I feel like, okay, so you've been doing it for 40 years, but I've seen you evolve. I've seen you in the single life. I see you now with Erica and your wonderful children, Sterling, who's now producing this show, which makes me so happy. So, what was your turning point, say, recently? You had a health scare.
Mhm.
Was that a massive turning point? And does it require from most people to face something, a point of crisis, to say, I'm going to make a shift in my life and do some things different?
You asked a lot of
I
questions there,
do.
and so I
I
want
do.
to I want to go back and address one of them. You said
Mm,
you had a health scare.
yeah.
I didn't have a health scare.
Mm,
I had open heart surgery. And the reason that that's important
mm,
is we're going to start talking about, because it's AI and chill.
yeah.
At least I want to
Yeah.
talk about the distinctions and the similarities between hypnosis and AI.
Mm,
And so, as a hypnotist, and certainly as a person involved with AI, you've got to be extremely careful of the language that you use to describe the circumstance, and, or in the case of AI, the prompt that you use to get a result. And so, while I did have open heart surgery, one of
mm,
my heart valves had gotten torn. It wasn't a health scare,
mm.
because a health scare would actually put me in a worse circumstance. It was something that came up, something I had to deal with, but not something that I would give power to.
Mm.
In
That's an
all
important
things in our
distinction.
life, I mean, you're either going to die or you're not.
Yeah.
And if you're going to die, there's no point in being scared. You're going to die anyway.
Mm,
And if you're not going to die, even less of a reason to be scared, because you're not going to die. Let it go already. So yeah, I had open heart surgery a couple of years ago in the heart of COVID, actually, back
mm,
in 21. And when I went to go in for my open heart surgery, it was done by a guy down here in San Diego, Dr. Hemp, he's the #1 robotic heart surgeon in the world. And so what they do these days is the surgeon stands in another room, not even in the operator room, and a robot comes in and does all the surgery. So he's just operating on a keyboard, and the robots are doing the surgery. It's pretty remarkable.
Yes.
And my surgery was supposed to take 6 hours. They warned me up front it could take about 6 hours. And when I went into the surgery, right before they put the mask on my face, I turned to the doctor and I said, 2 things. This is going to be the fastest surgery you've ever done. It's going to go by flawlessly. And when I'm done, you're going to call my wife and you're going to tell her I was a rock star. And I looked at him and he said, "You're pulling that hypnosis stuff on me, aren't you?" I said, "Of course not." That's all I remember.
Mm-hmm.
Then I remember waking up in the ICU and the nurse that's bringing me out of anesthesia is laughing. And I said, "What's so funny?" She said, "The surgery took 3 hours." She said, "We've never seen that ever. That's impossible." She said, "But everything went as well as it could, every single step of the way, just like you said it was going to." And I said, "And?" She said, she started laughing. She said, "Yes, the doctor already called your wife, said you were a rock star." And your wife answered, "Of course he is."
I love it.
And then just the end of that story, then I want to answer and address what you asked me in addition. The surgery was done on the 23rd of February in 2021. My son, Maximus, his birthday was the 25th. I was really, really, really concerned about doing the surgery so close to his birthday because God forbid something goes wrong and that Maximus would have that memory and that trigger, that hypnosis around his birthday that dad passed away. And so I was really concerned about it. So when I came out of surgery on the 23rd, Tuesday, first thing I said to the physical therapist when he came into the room, I said, "How do I get home by Thursday? My son's birthday's on Thursday. I need to sing him happy birthday." He looked at me and he started laughing. He said, "You're not getting home in 2 days. Nobody gets home after open heart surgery in 2 days." I said, "I respect that. If somebody did get home after 2 days, what would they have to do?" And he said, "Well, do you have stairs at your house?" I said, "Yes, I have. It's a 3-story home." He said, "You'll have to be able to walk up and down 2 flights of stairs unassisted 4 times." I said, "Okay, anything else?" Because that didn't seem to faze me.
Yep.
He said, "Well, yeah, you're going to have to do 4 laps around the entire floor of this hospital without a walker." I said, "Okay, stand me up." He said, "You can't stand up yet. You just came out of surgery. When can I stand up?" He said, "You got to sit up first." So I sat up and went, "Whoa, whoa, whoa." I said, "You told me I had to sit up." I said, "I need you to know I'm making it home by 8 p.m. on my son's birthday. I'm singing happy birthday to him over the candles. That's what I'm going to do." And he said, "Okay." And that's what I did. And I came home and I got home by 8 o'clock. I sang him happy birthday, watched him blow out his candles, and then I went to bed and slept for a day and a half. And so, back to it, the connection between AI and hypnosis is exact. And that's the thing that I want people to understand is sometimes people don't understand AI. And I think the reason they have a hard time with AI is they view AI as software or they view AI as something mechanical. And it is.
Yep.
And they should view it that way, yet you're not really able to use it that way. The effective use of AI, at least in my experience, has been when I look at the platform and I talk to it as if it's a really bright, very literal 7-year-old child. It's because if you talk to it like it's a machine, you'll give it machine prompts.
Yep.
And if you talk to the AI as if it's a human, like I said, a very bright 7-year-old, what do I mean by that? And this is, by the way, a really good way to communicate with people too, that if you communicate so precisely and so simply that it's difficult to misunderstand you, then you'll get the result. Hypnosis is the same way. People don't understand that when you program your brain, when you speak to yourself, that you are always getting exactly what you programmed. There was a movie many years ago with Brendan Fraser called Bedazzled. You remember that movie?
Yes, I do.
And in the movie Bedazzled, Brendan Fraser, that character, meets the devil. And of course, the devil is a beautiful woman. You could be the devil. So in the movie, Elizabeth Hurley is the devil.
Right.
And she grants him 7 wishes. He's in love with this woman he's in the friend zone, so he's stuck. He's in love with this woman. And he says, "I want to be rich and famous and married to Mary." And poof, all of a sudden he's waking up. The woman is sleeping beside him in bed. He's got this weird thin pencil mustache and kind of looks like Fabio. And the moment she realizes he's awake, she leaps out of bed and runs away. And he that's kind of weird. What's going on here? He stands up, and it's apparent he's not in his apartment in LA anymore. He's down probably in South America, Mexico, somewhere in Latin America. And it turns out he's a drug dealer.
Oh.
And so he's rich.
Rich and famous.
And it turns out, though, he's married to this woman. She's having an affair with the pool boy. And so he stands up at the window and he looks out the window, and all the workers are, harvesting the cocaine, and she's making out with the pool boy. And he realizes that he's rich and he's famous and he's married to her. He got exactly what he asked for, yet not exactly what he wanted. And that's the thing. The other day, I've been doing a lot of events here at Studio Money, and I had at one point looked down at my hand and I realized my wedding ring wasn't on my hand. Now, my wedding ring's worth $60. Monetarily, nothing special. I wasn't even going to wear a wedding ring when I met my wife, and she asked me, she said it would mean a lot to me if you'd wear a wedding ring. So the night before the wedding, I went over to a jewelry store and I said, what's the cheapest ring you have that would look like a wedding ring? And he said, this one. And I bought it for $60. And I got married with it. The pastor, put God's blessing on it, and Erica put it on my finger, and I lost it. And even though it's only $60, it has massive spiritual value to me. It's my most prized possession, more than my $250,000 watch or even my $10 million home in Vegas. It's my most prized possession. And so I couldn't find it. When I can't find something, one of the rules that I go by is what you're looking for is in a place you haven't looked. And so when you start looking for something, you've got to keep eliminating it. And look here, not there, look there, not there. And eventually, almost certainly, you'll start looking in places you haven't looked, because that's where it is. If you looked in a place it was, there it would be. You wouldn't be looking. And so I looked everywhere. I'm retracing my steps from the moment I could remember having it, couldn't find it. And so I went to bed, and this is a powerful technique for people to use, very much like we prompt AI. And I said, help me remember where I placed it if I placed it somewhere. Because remember, there's a variable. I might not have placed it somewhere. Somebody else might have placed it. Also, since my open heart surgery, I've lost about 46 pounds. So my ring was really loose. And I also couldn't let go of the idea that it might have just slipped off my hand. So I look everywhere that I can, and I don't find it. I go to bed and I tell myself, I prompt myself. I use self-hypnosis. And I say, you will recall while you're sleeping where the ring is. And if you're not able to recall where the ring is, intuition will guide you to find it this morning. And I wake up and I look around the house and I'm not able to find it. And on the way out the door, Erica, my wife, follows me out the door and she says, check the war room, which is our conference room here at Studio Money. And I said, I already checked the war room. She said, I think you should check it again. One of the things that you will learn is women are far more intuitive than men across the board. That's just how they're wired. And so anytime my wife says something, I listen to her, unlike most husbands, by the way.
Smart man.
I'm a happy husband. And so I listened to her. And even though I'd already checked the war room 3 times, I said, God, I asked you for intuition. She said something that she would never say. She never follows me to the car. She walked out to the car with me. And I said, I asked for a prompt. Was that it? I walk in the back door of Studio Money. I come up the back stairs. En route to my office, I pass by the war room. I look on the desk, and then I immediately look down on the floor. And exactly underneath the center pedestal of one of the chairs in the conference room, right underneath it, you wouldn't even notice it unless you were certain it was there, was my ring. Clear as day. And, sometimes people say, well, was it always there and you didn't notice it? Or did you manifest it? And to me, the answer is yes. Yes, it's both. It's both, because we do manifest. So think about that. If the ring had been there on the ground and I wasn't looking for it, I never would have noticed it there. Because I'm looking for it. And that's where things start. Because the prompt was find this thing, whether it's a missing wedding ring, whether it's $1 million, whether it's the love of your life, find this thing. And then surrender. You got to let it go. You got to let your subconscious computer, your perfect mechanism, do its job. We find what we're looking for. What we focus on expands, and reality is created by validation. That's why some people are incredibly lucky, that they consistently have good fortune. And the reason is they expect that to happen. I myself love God very deeply. My beautiful bride is a miracle. My 3 children, they are miracles. I see miracles in my life all the time. And so for me, it's not a stretch to believe in God. I get so many miracles. There's no other answer. It's supernatural how fortunate I am. I'm looking for it, though. The prompt is, I know that I'm fortunate. I know that I'm lucky. I know that God likes me more than he likes most people. And so I look for that fortune and that blessing all the time, and we find what we're looking for.
So there's,
by the way, before we started, I want to say,
oh yeah,
you were talking about a Joe Rogan interview that the
Oh,
guy
yeah.
the guy
Yeah, I
got into
love
the
this.
interview,
Yeah,
and Rogan never said a word because
Yeah.
the guy just went on,
You're
and I
going-
realized that I'm doing it.
you're
So
going for that
I
interview.
love
it.
wasn't, but I realized I was doing
But
it.
I love it. But so, because there's so many things. This is going to be 100% an episode you repack and rewind, because there's so many things that I could unpack. That's what we do these days. We unpack things. I don't know how that happened and where it
I don't know,
came from.
6'7".
6'7".
Who knows?
6'7". I
Who
love
knows?
it. I'll talk about the trends.
I have
But
kids.
this
6'7".
6'7". I went to the
What
bananas.
the hell does that mean? Don't have a clue.
Oh, the Savannah Bananas. You went.
Yes.
We need to talk about that and unpack that. So we were sitting front row right behind the pitchers, and all of a sudden the pitcher and then the umpire, freaking great. So
Yeah, they're
6'7", because the
amazing.
kids are going it. So if you don't know what 6'7" is, just look it up on Google or TikTok.
It's the
trend.
dictionary word of the year,
Oh,
which is weird because it's not
interesting.
one word, it's two words.
Yeah, 6'7".
6'7",
There's
but it's the
space in the
dictionary
middle.
word of the year this year.
Oh, wow.
Thanks for binging on another episode of AI and Chill podcast with your host, Coach Deb, and her inner circle of AI marketing masterminds. Remember to like this episode, share it with your business BFFs, and subscribe for the first mover advantage on the latest AI hacks with a little barbecue sauce.